So we finally get the conclusion of Helbram and King's fight this chapter. It honestly was a very sad note the way this chapter ended. We find out that the reason why Helbram was carrying around that helmet, why it had so much sentimental value to him, was because he bought that gift from a human for he could give it to King in the past. This right here just symbolizes the sadness that Helbram has went through to be able to just care that much about King. I mean, he bought this helmet, has carried it around on him for such a long time, even though it looks like King did something bad to Helbram, Helbram hated him, he still held on to that helmet for sentimental value. So it just shows you right there, Helbram technically is not a bad person. At the same time, he's been betrayed by humanity. And so, the way he actually, I guess, dies in this chapter was upsetting. I honestly don't believe Helbram most likely is dead. I mean, we saw him get impaled by a king last chapter in the actual special chapter, and supposedly he lived somehow. So I highly doubt, technically, from what has happened in this chapter, that most likely Helbram is dead. But either way, there's still a lot of mysteries around Helbram that is still left unanswered. I mean, a lot. I mean, how did Helbram survive? I mean, seriously, how did he survive from last chapter when he got pretty much killed by a king? And how did he come back? So, a major question right there that still needs to be answered. I'm glad they answered the helmet, though. That was one thing I was very curious about. But we find out something interesting about Helbram's power this chapter. We find out that he can actually do blind follow. That's the move I think he used, if I remember the exact name. And he causes everybody that's linked to him to forcefully send their powers to him. That is interesting. So, I was wondering how his abilities exactly work. So, finding exactly now that Helbram could force people to send their powers if they made a contract with him is definitely a deadly move and a deadly ability. It really is. So, I wonder if Helbram will serve any more purpose left in the series. Will he just die off here, or will he eventually become a good guy? We have no clue. But I did find one part about this chapter very interesting. Really interesting, actually, was the part where we found out the Sacred Tree is not forsaken King. The Sacred Tree continues to work for King, and it has no evil intent. It'll help protect the fairy realm. So, really interesting. I like the way this chapter was done. It was mainly just a fighting chapter, it really was. Majority of the chapter took place with fighting of Helbram and King, which is really good. I love the panels of that. The panels of the fighting was badass, getting to see how King was just being a freaking boss, as he usually is, fighting Helbram. And so, I felt like this chapter ended on a good note. It really did. It had a good cliffhanger, and it definitely put a good setting and ending to Helbram's fight with King. And it pretty much stated that King is going to be going to the next part of the battlefield. So, really awesome. I love it. Tell me your thoughts on this chapter of the 7 Deadly Sins. Did you think this chapter was really good? Did you like the conclusion of this fight between these two characters? Do you feel like there's still a lot more questions that need to be answered about Helbram? Do you feel Helbram most likely is going to survive this and become a good guy? What do you think? Tell me in the comments below. Everybody, I love you so much. Please be safe, and Chibi out.